All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to talk about a huge shift, a transformation, really. It's about going from being the person who's always heroically fixing the latest crisis to becoming the person who designs systems so those crises just don't happen. It's a total game changer.
So, let's talk about Mario. And I bet his situation sounds really familiar to some of you. This guy is a wizard. He's keeping everything running with sheer skill and duct tape. But he's stuck, you know? He's trapped in this exhausting cycle of patch jobs and anxiety because he knows that when something finally breaks for good, he's going to be the one in the hot seat. This is the heart of the problem we're unpacking today.
Okay, so let's break this down. There are two roles at war here. On one side, you've got the magician, the hero, right? Always reacting, pulling a rabbit out of a hat to save the day. But that heroism actually hides the real risk from everyone. And when the magic runs out, he gets the blame. Now, on the other side, you have the architect. This person is proactive. They design a solid system from the ground up. Their main job is to make risk visible to everybody. And because of that, they're not just asking for parts, they're advising on financial impact. They're valued for their strategy. That's the leap we need to make.
So, how does this trap even happen? Well, here's the crazy part. It's Mario's own incredible skill, his heroism, that's accidentally making the entire problem worse. He's so good at these last-minute saves that he's sending a completely wrong and frankly dangerous message up the chain of command.
And this heroism creates two massive problems. The first one is risk blindness. Think about it. Management looks out, they see the machines are running, so they think everything's fine. They become blind to the ticking time bomb you're sitting on. And second, you're racking up technical debt. Every single temporary fix is like swiping a credit card with a sky-high interest rate. And sooner or later, that debt is going to come due, and trust me, the collection call is going to be ugly.
And this really hits home because it affects your emotional salary. Forget the paycheck for a second. We're talking about recognition. Your amazing fixes aren't seen as heroic. They're seen as proof that the broken system actually works. You're living with this constant gut-wrenching anxiety, knowing that a disaster is just around the corner. And you've got this impossible situation where you have all the responsibility for the failure, but absolutely zero power to actually prevent it. It's not sustainable.
Hey, this isn't just about how you feel. It's hitting the company's bottom line big time. It creates these massive hidden wastes. In the world of operations, they call them mudas. You've got the obvious one, waiting. The machine is literally just waiting for a part. But then there's the really dangerous stuff, latent defects. Every patch job is a ticking time bomb you just planted. And maybe the biggest waste of all, your talent, your ability to think strategically is being burned on just putting out the next fire.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a tough spot to be in. But here's where things start to change. This is the pivot point. We're going to stop being the victim of this broken process and start being the architect of a new one. And it all starts with changing one simple thing, the question you're asking. Look at this. The magician is always asking, how do I get them to send the parts faster? It's a plea, it's reactive, but the architect asks a much smarter question. How do I make the invisible risk so painfully visible that for them, not sending the part becomes the more expensive, illogical choice? You see the difference? You're not asking for help anymore. You're reframing their decision. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Where do we start? It begins with one immediate tactical move that you can make today. We're going to completely change the way we communicate. The new rule is simple. Here it is. Stop reporting your needs, start translating your needs into financial risk. The language of your department might be technical, but I promise you the language of business is money, and you need to become fluent in it. You're not the maintenance guy asking for a part anymore. You are a financial advisor, and that part is your recommendation. In this chart right here, this is your new best friend. This tells the whole story in 2 seconds. Management is getting stuck on that tiny little bar on the left, a $500 part. But what they are completely blind to is that giant, terrifying bar on the right, the $120,000 risk of failure, downtime, lost production, the whole shebang. Your job is to make that second bar impossible for them to ignore. And here's exactly how you do it. Your next email isn't a desperate plea. It's a calm, professional, one-paragraph risk report. First, you just state the facts. Here's the current status. Here's the temporary patch I've put in place. Second, and this is the kicker, you quantify the risk. There is an X% chance of failure in the next Y days, which would result in an estimated financial impact of Z dollars. Third, you put those 2 bars from the chart into words. And fourth, you make a professional recommendation to mitigate their financial risk. See, you've stopped pleading and started advising.
Now that email, that's a powerful tactic.
It really is. But true architects don't just rely on tactics. They build systems. The real long-term goal here is to create a process that does all this heavy lifting for you automatically every single time.
And we're going to call this system the PNI M001, a risk-based maintenance protocol. I know, it sounds super formal, but stick with me. It's actually beautiful in its simplicity. All it is a rule book that forces every single maintenance request to be handled based on its quantifiable financial risk, not on who yells the loudest.
And the heart of this whole system is this simple table, the criticality code. Every request gets a code. Is it a C1? That's a 5-alarm fire. We're talking imminent shutdown risk, huge financial hit. That gets a response in under 24 hours. A C2? That's a major failure risk, but maybe not today. It gets handled within 72 hours. And a C3? That's your standard preventative stuff. It goes in the normal queue. It's simple, it's clear, and it's all based on money.
And the system has one golden rule that makes it all work. Just one. No more informal requests. No more, hey, can you just conversations in the hallway. Every single request for a part or a service must be put into the system and assigned a criticality code. That simple act forces risk to become visible by default. It's now documented, it's undeniable.
So, you do all this work, what's the reward? What's the payoff? Well, it is a massive, massive win-win. You're replacing all that chaos and anxiety with clarity and stability for everyone.
For you personally, the change is huge. Your psychological safety goes through the roof because the risk is now shared and documented. You're not just the mechanic anymore. You're seen as a strategic risk manager. And all that personal blame and stress, it just melts away. And for the business, they finally get what they've always needed, a clear dashboard of their real financial exposure. This leads to fewer disasters, less downtime, and lower costs. Everybody wins.
The system even generates a simple monthly report. Can you imagine sending an email to leadership that says, just for your awareness, this month, we are operating with an accumulated, unaddressed risk of $120,000 in potential failures? That one sentence changes the entire dynamic. You've done it, you've made the invisible visible. So that brings us to the final question, and this one's for you. You have the blueprint. What's your next move? Are you going to stay the exhausted magician constantly patching up today's crisis while dreading tomorrow's? Or are you ready to take that first step and become the architect of a more reliable, more stable, and way less stressful future? The choice is yours.